Too young for it versus too old for it. The Battle of the Horny! Here on Double Feature Night, only in Dave's Dungeon. What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am, as always, the one, the only, Dungeon Master Dave, bringing you another episode of Spooktober 2023. Today we are covering two films by the illustrious A24 Studios. God, that's a little bright. Let me turn it down just a tad. We are covering Pearl and X. Yes, in that order. First Pearl, then X. I think you watch them the other way around, you're going to get confused. This is, I think both of them are by Little Lamb. Let me check. Yeah, both are by Little Lamb Studios and director Ty West. I believe they're also written by Ty. Yeah, I didn't write down anybody else, so they must have been. I didn't even write down any. Jeez, these are like the first reviews I did, and I don't know why I did them first, but I decided to. That's what happened. I didn't write down the year or nothing. But I decided that our double feature this year was going to be these two because as a back-to-back, no two films in the last 20 years have been as grabbing to me and as held me the whole time and as took me to levels I have been to before, but never like this. You understand? I've been here before, but never with Mia Goth and never like this. Which, by the way, new horror queen and royalty amongst us, Mia Goth, the name to remember in all of this. So let's jump off into it, because we got to cover two films, and I've only covered enough time to maybe cover a curse word or two. So let me not get too distracted and get off into the body count. Let's start with Pearl. We have one overly dramatic scored opening, which is shot over an idyllic sort of stroll through the countryside, which immediately makes you think of war movies. Because if you've seen any filmmaking from World War I or World War II, around those time periods, you'll see this sort of similar thing show up in the intro to those as well. One mother who has it coming. I was a little confused here because I thought we might have been in Germany, but it turns out we just got a German mother, and her and dad aren't well. One special little snowflake, murderous star, meet Pearl, which I love this character, and I love Mia Goth, and it was almost from the word go. One Veta, the lake alligator, aka Pearl's body disposal. One paraplegic father, no longer fit for this world and not long for it. One gratuitous stock World War I footage, because nothing gets us going like war footage. One drug tripping on morphine at the movies, because dad's medicine isn't doing him much good. One make out orgasm with a scarecrow while high, because she gets freaky in the field. And it sort of starts us on the path of young, repressed versus old, misted, repressed, and both vying for who gets to have their turn. One father-daughter a bonding scene in the bath, because nothing makes you closer with your loved ones than a little abuse. One, pitchfork foo, because that duck had it coming. I'll kill her, no filler. One, late night porn flirtation scene, which, I mean, if you're going to do it, there are worse ways, but this one was a little odd. But I got it. It wouldn't have worked any other way. One, alligator egg splat, which, ooh, I mean, it just made me feel things. I felt like I bonded with the creature, and then all of a sudden, the mistakes that were made just, One, getting in a fight with mother, fireplace foo, aka with melted mother. Ugh. And I gotta say, brutal award goes to this kill. Because, as we find out, Mom's not dead. Or if she isn't, she is highly, like, I know she dies at some point. But again, there's scenes in this that says this isn't how Mom is ultimately killed. One, projectionist pole polishing because girl has been pent up. Alliteration. One, pillowcase strangulation. Because, I gotta say, this is one of those that I gotta call out. They tease you so hard with how this one's going to work. And then they're like, nope. She's going to take care of it. She's going to take care of it. Just right there. In front of the bird and everything. Two, alligator disposal foos. Because Vetta's got some work coming. And it's easier this way. One, wacky face dance number, complete with explosions, which is utterly charming. I would have totally melted to that. But one, it's a no from me dog, complete with running, angry crying, okay, and just devastation. One, is that Mama's rotten pig on the porch? Yeah, it still is. It's been there since you dropped it off. One, using your confession to monologue while you trap the person. Because nothing's better than using the monologue to get ahead instead of using it as a disadvantage. Letting them use it against you. One, axing your sister-in-law question foo. One dinner that is nice enough to make your Leatherface family proud. You know, the one I'm talking about in Texas. One, welcome home, darling, with extended smile. Dave says this one is 4.5 stars. It is a must-see for the 2022 era. I think it may be 2023 even. It may be as early as 2021. I might be off about that. But MVPs for this film go to Mia Goth and the alligator. That's all. Because the rest of the people aren't in this film. There's nothing else. You may want to do the sister-in-law. You may want to do the projectionist. You may even want to do the husband. And I'll tell you, no. The only people who get any awards in this are Mia Goth and Vetta. Moving on, let's get into X. Gonna give it to you. We figure out we're in Texas. Like, Texas? Suddenly. It's 1979 versus I think it was 18, 19, 19. Somewhere in there, because the husband's coming home at the end of that. Remember Harold the husband. So let's cut back into our body count, because we're not going to get off into gory details about either of these films until way down the road. We're on 10 minutes into this. My timer's like, that's shorty. And to be honest, these make a perfect double feature. I just want to say that in reference to Pearl first, then X, you get a double sort of take that is like 2 hours of 2.5 of condensed film. That is just perfect double feature for an evening of film and a good scary time. 1, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Starting out shot. 1, gas nozzle for a dick joke. Because, of course, we're making a porn. Why aren't we making all the dick jokes? 2, dramatic zoom-ins on the sermon. Because we, of course, have to notice that. Wink, wink, nod, nod towards what'll be an important point in the end, but you don't know anything about it right now. 1, gooey cow traffic accident that you get to see in full force. Foo. 1, old ass Harold, been 61 years since Pearl. And Pearl, which you don't end up seeing for a little bit, but that's because she's shy. 1, Brittany Snow porn scene foo, which, if you're any fan of the 3 B's, that is blood, breasts, and beast. The second B, breasts, and Brittany Snow. It is wonderful and glorious. 1, cheesy, I broke down porn monologue. 1, awkward lemonade chug. 1, Howard knows shit's up. Because he starts to figure stuff out when he sees Maxine, who we can think of in this as the hero title character. 1, sex in the barn scene with geriatric viewership, because Harold's got that creeping thing going on, except we figure out it's not Harold who's horny, it's Pearl. Harold's apparently got a bum ticker and can't give it to her anymore. 1, gratuitous hair brushing scene, because there's nothing else in the scene, and it's things that make you go blah. 1, uncomfortable old horny people try to get it up. 1, crying into the boom mic while you watch your girlfriend get railed scene. 1, crying into the shower scene, because that's exactly what you do after you get convinced to let your girlfriend try out a porn, instead of being, reasonable about it. Because it's a weird position to be in, that you're reasonable enough to let her do it, and then you're going to go cry in the shower. Come on, man. 1, I'm so mad I'm leaving you guys. I'm going to pack my shit and go home. 1, this pussy has seen war, son. Action. Because your boy's gonna leave him, but Pearl has other ideas. 1, you should have shagged Gina. Decapitation. One, dancing in the blood and headlights. Jesus, it is a disturbing scene. One, that's gonna need a tetanus shot. Ooh, just thinking about that gives me shivers. Ugh. Ugh. One, pitchfork food, double tap, because yeah, the your man in the it was already bad enough. It was already bad enough what had happened in the foot, and he was gonna need a tetanus shot. But then, like, Pearl's horny, and when she can't get none, one, please wander into my dark basement, young girl. Because, of course, we gotta have one of these happen. Because it's one by Lorraine, you're no longer a virgin, and you're no Sharon Stone. One, awkward boners number 61. 2 girls, one's too old for this. One, Tiny Axe callback. Because we call back from Pearl to now it's Tiny. One, you mess with my wife. Shotgun foo. One, you're not my boyfriend, Grandma. Because you wake up in bed with the weirdest people. One, my axe is bigger than yours. Scene. Because, hand chop fool. One, Grandma's gone wild. One, Veta dinner time. One, awkward boners number 62. You're both too old for this. Break a hip, gonna break a hip, gonna break a hip, gonna break a hip, gonna break a hip. One, Maxine and Raiders of the Lost Fuck. When I told you we're too old for this, heart attack. Harold goes down. One, Pearl finally gets her money shot. Double tap. I mean, just butters her out the door. And then one last shot for the preacher's daughter. And finally, one goddamn fucked up horror picture. Dave says this one is 5 stars. This is the epitome of what you wanted, and you go through Pearl 4 and you get the backstory on Pearl. And not to say that Pearl's bad, not to say that Pearl isn't also that like pinnacle of horror movie reaching for greatness, instant classic. But I think this one hits that level of just ekes it out, okay? Just hits that sort of peak of completing the whole oeuvre and making us feel this sort of like inner dread of old crusty fox. Ugh. So good, so good. MVPs in this one to Brittany Snow, Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega. Yes, that Jenna Ortega shoots an unrated scene in the unrated version. Make sure you find it. It is worth it to watch him cry into the boom mic. One, Scott Mescudi. One, Martin Henderson. And one, Owen Campbell as well. I do want to shout out all the guys who ended up doing a phenomenal job of acting through this film. It's a really, really an achievement. I gotta say, there are 2 must remember quotes from this entire movie. One, ain't none of them nice girls, from Wayne. I believe that's Martin Henderson. And then, fuck me, Howard, from Pearl. That's the only quote. That's the only quote you need to know. I think that's going to do it for the non-spoilers and the sort of non-talking about the esoterics of the film. So if you've enjoyed this review, please make sure you leave a like. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel out. Make sure other people will actually get to see the film or this video. Make sure you subscribe. It lets you know when I drop new content, when you ring the bell, so do that too. I hate doing this like preview stuff in YouTube, so forgive me if my general outro is awkward, because I'm trying to remember every little thing I'm supposed to remember to tell you to do, and I hate telling you to do stuff. I want you to do what you want to do. But anyways, if you need to go watch these films, go watch these films and meet us back here for the spoilers and the gory details. I think this is probably the best sort of counter mirror of too young for it versus too old for it. I really do think this is wanting having that youthful horniness and wanting it and having no responsibility to take care of it, versus having that horniness as an older person but having no body to do it with, and having all the responsibility to be able to take care of it but having no capability. So it's this, even in the first one, even in Pearl's story, Maxine and those people who are fighting against Pearl and Harold and their horniness, Pearl is still fighting against old folk in her story. So it's very much a mirror, and it's very much a foil from Pearl to X of how Pearl is fighting for her own freedom versus those elderly who want to curtail her spark and hold her back. She rises above it with Harold. And then over here we find Harold and them pushing down on young folk to have their time, and the young folk having to overcome it with Maxine in the end. So I'm excited because Maxine's coming apparently sometime in the future. Don't know when, but there's a third film to this duology currently. It'll be a trilogy apparently. I'm excited for that. I do think I'm ready to see how Maxine goes, because where are we going? We went to 70s for for X, so is Maxine going to take us into modern day? Are we going to catch up with now? Or are we going to go to sometime in 90s, or go in sometime to 80s? Who knows? Or maybe Maxine has a larger story to deal with in the 70s. I'm up for that. I'm always up for more Mia Goth, because she is such a good character. And she's in let me see what's next. No, next will be Torn Hearts, and then after that she'll be in another one that we're doing this season called Infinity Pool. So stick around and stay tuned. But I kind of like what A24 is going for here. Little Lamb and A24, respectively. And they've got a really strong outing. And they've currently become, I don't know, the new Blumhouse, maybe, in horror. Who knows? I don't. But I think that's going to do it for this one, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll leave a like. I hope you subscribed. I hope you did all that stuff, because you know I love you. Because if you stuck around to here, I definitely love you. You're definitely someone I call a Dungeon Dweller. So thanks for journeying with me today. I hope to see you on our next adventures. But until then, someone learn to masturbate. Someone needs to tell y'all it's okay to jerk off. It is, I promise.